Welcome to the 6.6 lesson where we put everything we know about fractions together. Okay, so look at this huge question. It looks daunting, doesn't it? Do you think you're able to do that? I think you are. It's definitely going to take several steps, and we have to be really clear and precise about our work so we don't make small errors. But you know how to multiply fractions, you know how to divide fractions, you know how to add and subtract fractions. So there's no reason why you can't do this. Now, when we're doing this type of work, we need to follow a set of rules. If all of us started anywhere in this question, say some people started by multiplying 3 times a half, and some people started by adding a quarter and 3, and some people started by 2 divided by a quarter, we would all get different answers. The whole world over, when you're doing math, you need to follow the order of operations. And you have learned that by the acronym BEDMAS. To review, this means brackets are done first. Then exponents. Remember when we learned exponents? That was like 4 to the power of 2. That 2, that's an exponent. We're not going to deal with exponents here. Then, of course, division and multiplication and addition and subtraction. So we are going to do things in that order. And in fact, we're going to learn a few more precise rules about BEDMAS. We know that, well, we know what brackets are, and we know exponents. We're not going to use them yet when we're in relation to fractions. We're going to learn now that you're in grade 8 that division and multiplication actually can be done in either order. We can multiply before we divide. It just depends what order those operations come in the question. And same with addition and subtraction. There we can do subtraction before addition. Depends what order they're in. So we're going to practice using BEDMAS. Okay, let's go over to the question. Now, a strategy that we are going to use in grade 8 is to underline the operation that we're doing, that we're currently working on. So first, there are no brackets, so we don't have to worry about the brackets. They're done. Maybe I'll grab a different color. There are no exponents, so we don't have to worry about that. The next we go to division and multiplication. And we can see in the question that division comes first, that's here, so we're going to do that first. Now we have just learnt division in grade 8 math. 2 divided by a quarter, we reciprocate and multiply. So we'll write that down. Reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1, and we're going to multiply. The rest of the question absolutely must be copied down exactly as it is. We're not going to leave it there and come back to it. We're going to write it down every time. I know it seems like more writing, and it may take a few more milliseconds, but it's going to be better for you because you will make less errors. Okay? So let's finish the multiplication, or this division part. So now we do numerator times numerator. 2 times 4 is 8. Remember, any whole number can be written over 1. So denominator times denominator will be 1. 8 over 1 we know is 8, so we don't necessarily need to write over 1, but we can leave it there. Okay, and then I'm going to write down the part of the question that we haven't done yet. Excellent. And now we have done all the division. Let's do multiplication next, and we're going to underline the part of the question that we're working on. So the 8 over 1 just stays in front, and the plus stays in front. 3 times 1 over 2. We do numerator times numerator, 3 times 1. Denominator times denominator, 1 times 2. And we get 3 over 2. Excellent. And then the multiplication is done. And then we go to addition and subtraction. Now we see addition here. We know from practicing previous today how to add fractions. We need a common denominator when we add fractions. So we write the fraction question down. What denominator will we choose? It needs to be divisible by 2 and by 1. Common denominator, we'll pick the lowest one, it's 2. Okay, and then here, 1 times 2 is how we got that denominator, so we need to do 8 times 2 will be 16 over 2 plus, in this case, we've multiplied by 1, so that doesn't change the fraction at all. We're going to have 3 over 2. And now we have the common denominators. We're able to add the fractions. 16 over 2 plus 3 over 2 gives us 19 over 2. We check to be reduced, and then we turn to mixed numbers, which 2 goes into 19 9 times with 1 extra. And we find that the answer to that long highlighted problem at the top is 9.5, following these exact BEDMAS steps. All right, let's try another one. Now, another strategy we're going to use, and you'll come to know which one works best for you, is the idea of a split page. In math, you need to show your work, and you have to be able to explain why or what you're doing on each step of your work. So that's what the split page helps us to do. I'm going to move that over a little bit. So, a split page here on the left is going to be your math steps, and on the right is going to be the explanation of what you're doing in that step. Okay? So let's go through BEDMAS again. We're going to start with brackets. And again, we're going to underline the part of the question that we're working on. So let's start with brackets there. The rest of the question gets written down. By the way, it would be a great idea if you got out a whiteboard or a pencil and a paper and did these questions along with me, please. 9 minus 2 is 7. And then we write the rest of the question down that we weren't working on, or the part that's not underlined. And the explanation there of what we did, well, we did the brackets. All right. Moving on. So the brackets are done. Are there exponents? No. Then we move to division or multiplication. We see that there is a multiplication here. So that's what we need to do next. We're going to underline it. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. And then we write down the rest of the question. What did we do there? Multiplication. You can write the short abbreviation for that if you want. Whoops, I crossed the L. All right, so the multiplication's done. Now we look to do the addition and subtraction. We need to have a common denominator, and 3 and 6, the lowest denominator or number they both go into would be 12. Okay, 3 times 4 gives us 12, so we need to do 7 times 4, this will be 28. And 6 times 2 gives us 12, so we need to do 5 times 2, which is 10. Once we have common denominators, and that's the reasoning here, we have common denominator. That's our reasoning. Once we do that, we can do the subtraction. 28 subtract 10 is 18/12. What we did there was subtraction. And then, of course, we're going to reduce. We can divide by 6. And we can turn it into a mixed number, which is 1 and 1/2. And our reasoning, or what we did there, was reduce. Excellent. So the answer to the math expression above is 1 and 1/2. All right, if you want to give it a try, write this on your whiteboard or your piece of paper, and you're going to first turn all mixed numbers into improper, and then you're going to go through the steps of BEDMAS to find the answer. If you want to try it on your own, press pause now, otherwise you can keep watching. Okay, we turn to improper fractions. We did the work in the brackets, and I can see that in the brackets 12 divided by 4, that would give us 3. So I'm going to reduce there. And then we see we've got division. We write down the first fraction. We reciprocate. Remember, 3 is over 1, so we reciprocate to 1/3 and multiply, and that's division. And then we multiply straight across. 9 times 1 is 9, and 8 times 3 is 24. And if we divide by 3, we have 3/8. And the reasoning there, reduce. Excellent. Flip the page. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own. We're going to use the strategy here by writing the letter bed mass. And I'm going to write them this way, going down, because then they're kind of in the order of my question, working down. I also wrote D and M right beside each other, because they go in the order that they're written in the question, and the A and the S right beside each other. Okay, so brackets, there are none, cross it out. Exponents, there are none. Next we do division and multiplication, and we're going to do the work on the the left first. We read this math question the same way as we read words, so the multiplication comes first. So we underline the part we're working on, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Good, we write down the rest of the question. Excellent. That's the multiplying finished. Next, the divide. It's this part, we underline it. We just write down the part of the question we're not working on. 2 multiplied by the reciprocal. Good. Same thing, we'll finish the work here. It's going to be 10 over 3. Excellent. Then the division is done. And now the addition and subtraction, we need a common denominator, which would be 6. 2 times 3 is 6, so 7 times 3. And 3 times 2 is 6, so 10 times 2. Our answer would be 1/6. Excellent. Please try this one on your own and check your answer with mine. Press pause now. Okay, here's the answer. Compare yours to mine, please, and notice my reasoning on the left, which will help you when you're looking for what happened in each step. All right, so here's a word problem where you need to write the whole math expression and then solve it. So it says Jeff earns $15 per hour as a security guard at a hotel. For every hour more than 35 hours that he works per week, he earns time and a half. So anything up to 35 hours, he gets $15 an hour. If he works overtime, so if he works more than 35 hours, those hours he gets paid his regular salary of 15 plus another half of 15. So if you think of half of 15, it's $7.50. 15 plus $7.50. He would earn $22.50 for each of his overtime hours. How much money will he earn in 1 week if he works 42 hours? All right, so he works definitely more than 35. So we can do that math work to find his salary. So for 35 hours, he gets $15 each hour. So that's easy to figure out. Those are his regular hours. Now, what about overtime hours? Plus, now, how many hours of overtime does he work? Well, it says he works 42, and 35 of them are regular hours. So if we do 42, subtract 35, which we know that's 7, but I'm going to show all our math, 7 hours of overtime. Now, for overtime hours, he gets time and a half. He gets 1.5 times his regular pay. So we know that this we're going to multiply by 1.5 times his regular pay. Okay, so this side is all overtime, and this time is regular pay. Okay, this looks good. Pause it and you do the work.